Somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, 6 men are living inside a steel chamber no larger than a city bus. They haven't breathed fresh air in nearly 2 weeks. They haven't felt sunlight on their skin, and for the next several days, they won't be allowed to leave, not because they're prisoners, not because they're trapped, but because this is their job. They wake up inside a pressurized metal chamber. They eat there. They sleep there. They spend almost every hour of their lives there. Then they climb into another steel capsule and descend hundreds of feet beneath the surface of the ocean. Waiting for them is endless darkness, freezing, and enough pressure to crush the human body. For most, it sounds like a nightmare. For them, it's just another day at work. These men are known as deep-sea welders, and they perform one of the most dangerous jobs on Earth. Most people think of the ocean as an empty expanse of blue water covering most of our planet. But beneath the waves lies another world, a world built by thousands of miles of pipelines stretch across the seafloor. Massive communication cables connect entire continents. Offshore oil platforms stand on underwater foundations the size of skyscrapers. Vast wind farms generate electricity far from shore. Modern civilization depends on this hidden infrastructure far more than most people realize. But everything humans build eventually breaks. Steel. Storms destroy. Ship anchors drag across cables. Pipeline. Machine. And whenever something goes wrong, someone has to go down there and fix it. The problem is that the ocean floor was never meant for humans. The deeper you go, the more hostile the environment becomes. Sunlights, temperatures, pressure. The ocean becomes a place where human life simply doesn't belong. Yet people willingly enter that world. A deep-sea welder's day begins long before entering the water. Every tool must be inspected, every connection must be checked, every emergency procedure must be reviewed, because even a small mistake can have deadly consequences. For shallow operations, divers may enter the water directly from a vessel. But many offshore projects take place hundreds of feet below the surface, where everything becomes far more complicated. To reach those depths, divers enter a structure known as a diving bell. Imagine a small metal elevator suspended beneath a ship. The space is cramped, the walls are cold steel, the air feels different, and once the hatch closes, there is no turning back. Slowly, the bell begins its descent. Sunlight fades. The bright blue ocean turns darker and darker. The world above gradually disappears. Then comes a strange silence. But a feeling of complete separation from the rest of humanity. It feels as if the entire surface world is drifting farther and farther away. The bell reaches the seafloor. The diver steps outside and walks into darkness. Working underwater changes everything. Simple tasks become difficult. Difficult tasks become exhausting. And dangerous tasks become deadly. In many's, visibility is measured in feet rather than miles. Powerful currents constantly push against the diver's body. Heavy equipment moves unpredictably. Communication can become delayed or distorted. Simply locating the structure you're supposed to repair is a challenge on its own. Now imagine performing precision welding under those conditions. The diver must stabilize their position, control specialized equipment, maintain awareness of their surroundings, and complete repairs on infrastructure worth millions of dollars. One bad weld can lead to catastrophic failures. There are no second chances. No easy return trip to the workshop. Every repair has to be done correctly the first time. Many people have heard stories about deep-sea welders earning enormous salaries. Headlines often claim they make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. While reality is more complicated, there is a reason these jobs pay so well. Companies aren't simply paying for welding skills. They're paying for risk. Welding is only one part of the challenge. The real challenge is surviving the environment. Imagine spending weeks away from your family, weeks without sunlight, weeks living under pressure. And every day knowing that a single equipment failure or human error could transform a routine shift into a life-threatening emergency. The paycheck reflects not just the skill involved, but the dangers that come with the profession. The strangest part of this career isn't the welding. It's the way many of these divers live. For deeper offshore projects, divers use a system called saturation diving. And saturation diving sounds more like science fiction than a real job. Instead of returning to the surface every day, divers remain inside pressurized living chambers for weeks at a time. The pressure inside the chamber matches the depth where they work. Inside these chambers, they eat together, Sleep, exercise, and wait together. Day. Week. The outside world begins to feel distant. Some divers say they lose track of time entirely. Others forget what day of the week it is. Many describe the experience as living inside a steel box while the rest of the world continues without them. Many divers say the hardest part isn't the danger, it's the repetition. Every day begins to feel exactly the same, yet leaving isn't an option. If they return to normal atmospheric pressure too quickly, dissolved gases inside their bodies could form dangerous bubbles. The result could be severe injury or death, so they stay inside the chamber, waiting for the next shift. If you ask an experienced deep-sea diver what they fear most, many won't mention shark, darkness, or even the ocean itself. They'll tell you they fear pressure, because in the deep sea, pressure is both what keeps you alive and what can kill you instantly. On November, in the north, a drilling platform called the Byford Dolphin was conducting routine saturation diving operations. For the workers involved, it seemed like an ordinary day. Divers were living inside pressurized chambers and traveling between the chamber and the diving bell as they always did. But a small human error triggered one of the most horrifying accidents in diving history. A hatch was opened before the pressure between two connected compartments had been equalized. What happened next occurred in less than a second. High-pressure air exploded toward the lower pressure area with unimaginable force. The human body had no chance to react. 4 divers were killed instantly. The accident became one of the most infamous disasters in commercial diving history and remains a mandatory case study in diver training programs today. It serves as a terrifying reminder that in the deep sea, pressure isn't just a number, it's a matter of life and death, but there is something many divers fear even more. It's called delta, short for differential pressure. It has no claws. You can't even see it. Yet it is one of the deadliest hazards underwater. Imagine a damaged pipe or a drainage system on the ocean floor. When a pressure difference exists between two areas, water can move with incredible force. The result is an invisible suction powerful enough to trap or pull in anything nearby. If a diver gets too close, escape may be impossible. You can swim with all your strength and still make no progress. You can understand exactly what's happening and still be powerless to stop it. Divers have been pulled into narrow openings before rescue teams had any chance to react. That's why many commercial divers say the most dangerous things underwater are often the things you cannot see. For many deep-sea welders, the greatest challenge isn't the work itself. It's life inside the chamber. During saturation diving operations, divers may spend weeks living in confined spaces with little privacy. There are no windows, no natural. They wake up surrounded by steel walls and fall asleep staring at the same steel walls. Their days follow the same routine over and over again. Work, rest, wait, repeat. Many divers later describe loneliness as the most difficult part of the experience. When you're isolated for long enough, days blend. Some people become irritable. Others become withdrawn. Many experience intense homesickness. Yet no matter how they feel, they still have to descend into the ocean the next day because the entire team depends on them. Many people ask the same question. Why would anyone choose this life? Why spend weeks trapped inside a steel chamber beneath the ocean? The answer is surprisingly simple. For some, this job offers something that ordinary careers never can. Purpose. Many deep-sea welders admit they were terrified the first time they stepped onto an offshore platform.